Hey everyone, how's it going? I just saw episode 5 of WandaVision. We're over halfway, and I would like to just give you some of my thoughts after watching it, since I really don't want to do a reaction, maybe a lot of editing. Anyways, that's just me. Let's jump right into this, starting with even the recap of the episode. I believe Wanda said in the recap, she's gone, she didn't belong here. This could just be me, but I don't remember her saying that at all in the episodes. I don't know what this means. Maybe she did actually say it. That'd be the most reasonable explanation. Whatever. Let's keep going. And then I talk about this in my theories episode, which will be up on Tuesday. But Wanda could not successfully control, like, she could not successfully make her children go to sleep. That's kind of weird. And this is like really close to the Agnes part, but let's talk about that before. What happened before. Getting back into the sitcom elements of things was really amazing. WandaVision can just pull off a sitcom so well. And I feel like as we go more into these TV shows, I'm gonna go into Falcon and the Winter Soldier expecting a sitcom or something. When it's a total thriller or whatever, but I'm not ready for that because I like cracking up at some of these scenes. And they do the 80s so well with the costumes and the jazz, as I mentioned, and the email stuff. The computer, it's so good. But let's keep going. Oh shoot. Spoiler alert! I'm gonna talk about spoilers. You know what, actually, sorry for mentioning those things. I didn't get too heavy into spoilers yet. Let's talk about my thoughts on this episode without spoilers. Very good episode. They nailed the sitcom element. I like jumping back into it from last episode. I will mention spoilers from other episodes. If you've seen all the other ones and not this one yet, you're still good. But if you haven't seen other ones, please go back and watch all the other episodes before you watch this. And they nail the 80s decade. This did have a lot of plot, but this was a little bit of a longer episode. And they integrate the plot into the sitcom a little bit better than they did in the 70s episode. That's just my take on it, because I feel like the plot becomes more sitcom-y with some of these elements we're bringing in that I can't say in this non-spoiler part. But it's really good. There's some really good whoa moments, and some of these moments gave me chills. Overall, this was an amazing episode. I'm gonna say this is the best episode yet. 10 out of 10. Literally. And I can only imagine what the rest has to offer. So now let's jump back into the spoilers. Thank you. Stop watching here and come back later if you haven't seen the episode. And then, so we get the Agnes scene at the very beginning, which is one of those glitch things that happened earlier, with Herb and with the hearts, whatever. But it happens with Agnes. Should we take that from the top? Whatever. It's Catherine Hahn's such a great actress. Paul Bettany, great actress. Elizabeth Olsen, great actress. We get some more great parts from her later in this episode. Let's talk about that later, though, as we recap the episode and talk about my favorite scenes. And then, and also, we're full screen this episode. No special aspect ratio, which I'm loving it. We had aspects where they were zooming in, which I thought was interesting. They didn't do that yet in other episodes. Maybe that had to do with the decade. I don't know. I haven't watched a ton of 80s TV, but it seemed more familiar. And then they cry. The babies stopped crying in the trippy moment, but they cried again and they stopped when they grew up. Which got me thinking, how fast will they continue to age? We get the answer later. And then the theme song, I loved seeing like Vision as a baby and just Vision as the dad. It was really weird. I, I, I love the sitcom elements. Okay, what can I tell you? It's really the creative minds behind this series. Chef's kiss. Oh my gosh. Then Hayward interviews Monica about the world inside. Monica said she felt like she was drowning in grief, and we'll get to this later because there's more mentions of this. And then before she goes to the meeting, doctor like, wait, hold on, I have to stay here. There's something weird with you. And then let me mention this callback to episode 4 when Monica's like, oh, if this is about whatever, don't worry. Drones, and then she said, drones already chaperone me. This is really more of the case that she already had powers before this. And that's my current theory. Sorry I didn't mention this in the theories episode. Hayward does not like Monica. No, more Wanda than Monica. But Hayward, like, really seems to have something against her. I don't know why. And it also seems like the Sokovia Accords are still in effect, which is weird. We'll see how that continues to happen in the MCU, because we have, like, over 20 MCU movies properties, like, lined up. We'll see. You know? But, like, because Jimmy Woo still seems to be a big enforcer of those, but and we see this in Ant-Man and the Wasp, but he never assumes the worst in people, which I love about him. I love his character, honestly. But then, and he's like, does she have like a special superhero nickname? No. But I think she will eventually, because it's my current theory that she's gonna be the villain of this series, and we get some more moments like that we can talk about later as we're summarizing this. But we see a lot of villainous things, and I think that's how she is going to get the name that will eventually become a superhero name, the Scarlet Witch. Maybe she's given this by the town people. We'll see, but I'm excited. I'm excited. But she stole the corpse 9 days ago of Vision. So it was only 9 days ago when, if you don't know this, WandaVision releases the scores. They're like 10 episodes each for their episodes a week after they air. So a week after episode 4 aired today, there was a song near the beginning called 3 Weeks Later. So Monica probably goes back to Sword and does the whole entering the reality thing 3 weeks after the blip, which is like the same day as the Avengers Endgame Thanos fight, which they reference here, and there was a little banter like, oh, Captain Marvel's the most powerful, Monica's the most powerful, Wanda's the most powerful, which one was closer to being Thanos, whatever. But then they specifically use the word resurrected for Vision, which I think is very interesting, and I have theories about what happens when Vision leaves Wanda's reality in my theories episode, so stay tuned, Tuesday, whatever. If you're interested, I'm not making you watch any of my stuff. I'm really just doing this to, like, document this. And then the dog. I think this is really probably one of the most important things that has ever happened in this series. This is not the first pet, but I believe this is the first dog in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a pet, especially of a superhero. The first time a superhero has ever had a pet, I believe. We know Captain Marvel had Goose, and then went to Nick Fury, but this is the first dog in the MCU owned by a superhero, and this is not good dog representation. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. What's really sus is how Agnes always comes when they need her with the thing they need, and Vision starts to catch on to this. I talk about this in the theories episode, but I noticed it was really weird. that eventually gets the name Sparky, which is the name of, I think, Vision's dog in the comics. Then Wanda says she's tired of hiding. So she makes this perfect reality for herself, and now she's getting used to it, and she's starting to like be herself more, which is not good, because she's made these fake people, because these aren't the people that lived in Westview. These are like characters. We don't want them figuring out about her, because, well, we know what happens when they do in a few minutes. Vision disagrees. He's like, I want to stay secret because he doesn't know that Wanda, at this point in the episode, has made the reality or whatever. And then the twins can control their age. They purposely age up to 10. I made a note in my notes. Wanda? Don't know what that means. Oh, is Wanda doing it? Probably not. And then we see Monica is actually really smart. I didn't know if she was just good at being a pilot or whatever, or a captain. No, she's like really smart, just like Darcy is, and that's great. We got the endgame banter that I talked about. And then when Jimmy Woo brought up Captain Marvel, like being really close to killing Thanos, because it was Jimmy Woo and Darcy Lewis that were bantering about that. I think. Or maybe Monica was involved in that. But whenever Jimmy Woo brought up Captain Marvel, Monica felt touchy about that. Like, she's like she wanted to skip to another subject. Why is that? I thought they were close friends. Has Captain Marvel actually never visited since the 90s? If so, that'd be really bad, and I could see why. She does seem to be like an emotionally distant character. And then this gets to the point in the episode where Monica shoots her 80s clothes, and they're bulletproof because what Wanda does, I talk about this in the theories episode a little bit, and its implications for other things, but Wanda takes the clothes and they keep their like they keep the like chemical properties, like their makeup and everything, but they change their physical appearance. So I have big theories about this in the theories episode about what this means, and so then they decide to throw in something that requires no change, which is exactly what I was thinking, and it made me so happy when, like, I think it was the last episode or the one before where they're like, I don't even know if I mentioned this in the theories episode, but like, I think I did, where it's like, bring in something that you don't have to change through decades, like clothes or otherwise, and it won't change like the beekeeper suit did. Because it changed the beekeeper suit. I don't know why they didn't mention the beekeeper. Did they forget about it with the no rewind? Don't know. Maybe. But they sent an email. And what was so creepy, gave me goosebumps, chills, whatever, was when everyone in the office read it out loud at the same monotone voice. Why? I don't know. That's something we need to figure out. Something with her reality. And then Vision and Sword contact each other, or at least Sword contacts Vision. He knows something's up. Norm, I think he says none of it's real. Please help me. Vision like uses some powers to turn off the computer, restore Norm's memories, which I didn't think he had that power before. Maybe he does. And he's like, Wanda's in my head, I can feel the grief, which is the same thing that Monica said. So, and then in that moment, I'm like, damn, the actor behind Norm is such a great actor. They hired a great actress even for like the little like side characters, which is just great. I want to see people like Jones and Dottie like have great scenes like Norm just did. And then like, I think when they were inside and the kids were asking about Vision, even the kids got suspicious of Wanda. Is he working? It's a Saturday, it's a Monday. That scene was so good. He needed a distraction. So she really wants him, like, not finding out. And the do you have a brother scene? Oh, we can talk about that later if you've seen the episode. And then they all see the 80s drone that Monica sends in. And then Wanda gets the red eyes, which I believe we haven't seen since Endgame. Well, that's the last time we saw her. But, like, we didn't see it earlier in the series. So I think. So she brings out the red eyes. And then we skip to the outside world. Something's coming through the border. She was like, oh, I'm thinking like, so she sent the drone back through. No, she walks back out in her full Endgame costume, which apparently she hasn't changed. She should take a shower or something because she walked into the sword facility wearing that. And now she's still wearing that. And it's just, she's wearing that costume, whoever made it. But transforming it through the decades. And full accent. And damn, you get big villain vibes from this. No, because with all the lasers on her, she's wearing the same corset, she's wearing this corset, she's wearing the same everything. Oh my god. Like, this is too good. You know, you get this sort of scene with her with the power in her hand, ready to just blast them all. She turns all the guns on Director Hayward, but for a second I was like, yeah, go at it. He feels really sus and evil. Especially with the way he's talking about Wanda. Because I think there's still hope for Wanda, especially if she's set to appear in Doctor Strange 2. Probably not as a villain, hopefully as a hero, you know. Hopefully she gets like a redemption after this season. But she leaves knowing they know she can just full on walk out if she wants to. She does. She didn't even trap them in there. Because if they knew about that they could leave, they could straight up leave, I think. But then, well, actually then, she turns the barrier red. And she's also like, this is your only warning. Whatever. And we don't know what the red border means. Maybe they're just more dangerous now. If they go in, they're gonna die. I don't know. That was my theory. I mentioned the theories episode. Please go and watch it later if you want to see my theories. And then skips to the commercial, which I was hoping for an Ultron one, but it doesn't seem like we're gonna get that. And I don't think they're all related to her trauma unless she does have trauma to this. But this wasn't where I was thinking there was gonna be trauma. But there's the Lagos thing, which they mentioned even before in the episode to make sure you would get this reference. And it was like, when you make a mess, you didn't mean to. You to clean out these mess. That was such a great line. I think, I honestly am living for these commercials. They're so good. But, and then the dead dog. After the trailer, that honestly, this is what I was saying. The dog representation in the MCU is very slanderous. Tells them to not age out. Maybe they do it with their trauma, like she does, because maybe they age up on their own with the trauma. I don't know, but oh my gosh, this was really funny, but really sad in the same way. Really touching moment, actually. I really enjoyed it, and it was kind of like heartwarming in a way. They made it feel heartwarming, but actually, if you look back at it, it was kind of like eerie. She's like talking to them, and it's really ironic. She's like, we can't reverse death, no matter how sad we are about it. We can't choose who we bring back. And this is exactly when, like, the same episode where they show her busting into Sword and taking Vision's dismembered body, which I feel like they should not have dismembered the body. But she takes the body and revives him. And then Vision's not here, but then he walks up behind them. And I think that was so funny, but at the same time, she knows that. And I feel like she didn't, like, plan that specific moment. And there are moments here that she hasn't specifically planned. She doesn't have everything under control, but she has control of the reality, is what I've been saying. And this references what Wanda was talking about later. But I feel like that was in a way a lesson for her. Like, hopefully she learns that she was wrong and she shouldn't have brought him back. But I do want Vision to stay. And I like his powers. I like his character. I hope this is not Paul Bettany's last appearance in the MCU. And then later in the episode, oh my gosh, the scene was so good. So he tells Wanda that he talked to Norm and he knows this is real. Like, what's the Maximoff anomaly or anomaly, whatever. The credits during the fight, like she was trying to block him out. My God, and then when Wanda was like crying and reflective and sad there, and was that? And that could have even been the character of Wanda acting, and because she was even lying in that scene because she knows she has control. She just saw that, and then she's like, "Oh, I didn't do that," and then Pietro walks through the door, but cast as Evan Peters. There are so many implications for this, but you're gonna want to hear what my thoughts are. If you do, they're in the trailer. I mean, the theories episode on Tuesday. But thank you guys for listening to my rants on this. This was by far my favorite episode. So much happened, and they made it family-themed and sitcom-y, and it was a perfect combination of WandaVision. And I just loved it. What are your thoughts? If you want to tell me, put them in the comments below, but I don't really care. Anyways, see ya, thanks.